Hello everyone, I wanted to do this video about my new bike, the 2020 Cervelo S5 disc. I ordered it as an Ultegra Di2 and upgraded it to Dura-Ace Di2. The only difference between the 2020 and 2019 frame is cosmetic. There are no structural changes, they simply remove some logos from the chainstay, the seat tube, and the top tube, and I'll point them out a little later in this video. The Ultegra Di2 version comes with the DT Swiss wheels. In this case, they're ARC 1450s die cut. And this is the Canadian version, so it comes with a 48 in the front and a 62 in the back. If you order this in the US, it'll be 62 in the front and 62 in the back. So I've done some changes and done some additions, and I'd like to share them with you and walk through them. So we'll start, I think, with the crankset. So originally came with the Dura-Ace crankset, and I've swapped that out for my Rotor 2 in power. It provides left and right power, has a direct mount chain ring. I'm running 52-36. I really I like Rotor products, and I really like how this one charges. You don't have to worry about putting batteries in, taking batteries out. There's just a little cover here and a special charger that connects via a magnet that does the powering. So the whole unit is sealed. You don't have to worry about water or dirt getting in there. It just works. The pedals are Dura-Ace. These are new. I originally had my really old look Delta pedals that I've liked to use throughout the years, but enough people were teasing me about them that I've updated to something a little bit more recent. So we'll start in the back here. In the back here, the bike comes with a 1130 Dura-Ace cassette, and the derailleur has the longer arm in order to support the larger cassette. Because it's Di2, it's got wires that run through up the frame into the handlebars. So when you're looking at the bike, really the only wire that you'll see is this one that comes out and plugs into the derailleur. I guess if you have the SRAM, then you won't see any cabling. You will see the hydraulics cabling that's hidden there and at the front, but you really kind of have to look for that. It's tucked out of the way nicely. Okay. Down here, I've got a different chainstay protector on right now. It's one that the local bike shop liked and put on. Cervelo gives you one that's sort of custom molded. I might put that on a little bit later, but what I'm holding off on is I want to put some helicopter tape here to protect the chainstay, as well as inside here of the seat tube, right? So if any grit gets in here, it doesn't mark up the frame. And to avoid any sort of chain suck and damage the frame down here, I've also got a chain catcher. So I think that's kind of standard on most bikes. I had to ask for mine though. All right, moving my way up. This was there was a logo here on the old version, so it used to say S series, but it's gone. And might as well do other logos. So this is the brand new logo. I really like it. If you grab the P series or the P5, you'll see the same logo with just different lettering and different numbering. The old logo for the 2019 model was here. I didn't like it as much. Working my way back here, so I've got my Garmin Varia light and radar. It's a great little tool. I feel pretty naked when I go biking without it. I like the beeps. It's pretty good at detecting the vehicles and gives me a little bit of notice about what's back there, how fast they're coming in, so that I can check my sticks and prepare to be passed. I've got some electrical tape here because this is all rubber, but if you're riding in the rain and there's sand and dirt that gets up here, I didn't want to have any abrasions on the seat post, so that's there to protect it. The seat is the Pro logo that comes with the bike. It's got, well, I guess the aluminum rails, not the carbon rails. I'll give it a shot. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't, I'll switch it out for something else. Down here, my saddlebag. It's kind of nice and small and sleek. It says Scion. I think it's the smallest one that they carry, but you can put a lot in here. I've got a tube in here with an 80mm valve, CO2 cartridge, the adapter head for it, chain link, some cash, and tire lever. So it fits in there nicely, and it's quite snug. Back here, I'd also like to point out, I think this is kind of neat, and maybe because I haven't bought a bike in a long time, but all the bolts on this bike have the torque settings listed right there. So, you know, you don't need to go looking for them. You can just take a look at the bolt. It's there. You know, here's another one at the stem, you know, so it's quite convenient. The stem also has these nice covers to cover the bolts, so it's very, very, very sleek. And there's a nice shot of that stem. It looks a little bit like the back of the Starship Enterprise. I've heard a lot of people say that, but yeah, I really like the look of this. Okay, getting into my cockpit here. So I've got the Garmin mount, came with the bike. It's my Garmin 830. Underneath, I've got the GoPro mount. So I've got my Cat Eye, Volt 830 here. And it's really easy to take off. You just kind of unclip it, slide it back on. I didn't go with the Garmin one. This one had a bit better battery life, and you know, I didn't necessarily need the smart functionality for it, so that's kind of cool. With the Di2 and the brakes, there's some wiring that needs to go through here, and it's not hollow. It's got a channel underneath that basically routes to the port here in the shifter, and then out of the port here, it comes out and follows the handlebar underneath, right, and into a small hole that's here to plug into the junction. So some people, I think, don't like that. I don't mind it. I don't really notice it with the bar tape I have on, so it's not a big deal for me. The shifters are good. I had the 9000 series, so this click here is much more satisfying, if you will. Both shifters still come with the button at the top, so I do have the wireless unit installed in here. It's actually on the drop on the left hand side, so it interacts with the Garmin. I can press these buttons to move the screens left and right. It also gives me information about the bike itself, you know, what gear I'm in, what's the battery life, stuff like that. So I really kind of like that integration with the bike. In my old bike I had Sprinter shifters, so a shifter here and a shifter here. I couldn't reuse the old ones because these brake shift combos here don't have the dedicated port. You have to actually install a specific switch, which required us to do a little bit of additional wiring. Just how it's laid out in the cockpit, there's only 6 ports. There's 2 ports here, 2 ports here, and 2 ports here. And when you're all said and done with the Cervelo mapping, you're left with 1 extra port over here that you could use for this shifter, but on this side, you're kind of stuck. So we freed up a port by basically installing the Y junction cable here. So it comes in as 1 cable, splits, 1 goes over here and 1 comes over here, and then it all works out really nice. So the one thing I really like about my cockpit here is because it's fully integrated and has the wireless, I don't really need to take my hands off ever to interact with the Garmin mount. I can be flipping through screens. When I'm in the when I'm in the drops, I've got my Sprinter shifters, so I can shift the rear cassette no problem. And also, because I have the cassette information, I never have to look back to sort of know what gear I'm in. I can always have it displayed up front. Yeah. So I guess 2 other small little details. One is over here. The back, I have this Micropump attached to the frame. It's probably not as aero as, you know, some people would like. It's tucked in behind the water bottle here, but this is light enough to go in the jersey, but chances are I'd probably forget about it. So I just like that it's always attached to the frame. I don't really have to think about it. And then back here I also have the Garmin speed sensor, number 2, right? And yeah, I guess the last thing that people have been interested in is the thruaxle here. So see if we can get that in focus. So it's using the RAT system, or RAT. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, and I'm sorry about the focus. Camera's wanting to go on the back gear there, or the back rotor. There we go. And how these work is you open them up, do a quarter turn, and then you pull out the thruaxle. I'm not going to do it because I have to put the camera down to put it back in, but then you do the reverse quarter turn and tighten it to put it back in. The only thing you need to be aware down here is there's a bolt that screws here, and when you loosen it, moving it closer to the cam once this is released, that's actually tightening how much pressure the cam is going to put on the axle to pull it closer together. Whereas when you tighten it, meaning you're moving it towards the fork, it's actually loosening it. It's quite good. You just have to, you can just vary, you know, play with it just ever so slightly to get it just perfect so that you have enough tension in there. Yeah, so I really like it. I guess here's a shot of the disc brake and the rotor. The Dura-Ace comes with the black. The Ultegra comes, it's all silver. Okay, so that's my bike. I'm really looking forward to getting this bad boy out on the road. You know, I live in Canada, so it's January. Lots of snow, lots of ice, lots of cold. So this bad boy's sitting in the basement, awaiting a nice spring day. Thanks for watching, and talk to you later.